Hi, everyone. I have here Marc Belaiche, the co-founder of Guhuza. Am I pronouncing that correctly there, Mark?
That's right, Guhuza.
Excellent. And I've known Mark for, I think, 30 plus years. We both started out as CPAs and we both career transitioned into something completely different. Mark, why don't you share a little bit about your background and how you wound up launching Guhuza?
So first off, thanks, Helen, for recording this and doing this together. Always good to see you.
Yeah, same here.
Um, I mean, I've been in the staffing industry for 30 years. Started as a recruiter, staffing firm owner. I've been an executive in the industry, so I know both sides of the employment equation relatively well. And after COVID hit, I just kind of thought, there's got to be a way to just make things a bit better in terms of helping people find jobs and helping people find employees, helping employers kind of find and connect with employees a lot quicker and easier. So, in helping all these candidates and connecting with jobs, whether it's through our job board at torontojobs.ca or the recruitment side, or helping companies find people, we're just really connected and just thought as a team it would be a better and easier way to make things better. So I always like tech, and I liked how just the idea itself of Guhuza, which was just basically how can we make it so a company uploads a job, they push a button, and they can connect live with job seekers within minutes on the platform.
Mhm.
And so we really looked at that as a way to change things and kind of like understand how the process might be, and that's kind of how the world is moving to more live and interactive and video and speed being so important.
Mhm.
And on the candidate side, we always talked about how the challenges that they have in searching for jobs, how slow it is, how they have to search for jobs, apply to positions, and 90% or more of the time, people never hear back from their applications. And and this is going on not just in Toronto, but across Canada, around North America, and around the world. So we just thought for job seekers, wouldn't it be great if all they had to do was upload a job and we just ping them when there's a live interview that happens with the employer right on the spot?
That's cool. Very cool. We could wrap back to that at the end. I wanted to see what your perspective is on the bigger picture. Like what are the workforce trends in Canada and then particularly in Toronto? If you can give us some insights there, that would be very helpful.
Sure. Let's maybe start with it generation wise, and then kind of
Hmm.
look at Toronto specifically. But
Hmm.
there you've got your boomers, you got your millennials, you got your Gen Z, and they all want different things. So the boomers retiring slowly. A lot of them are doing like part-time consulting. Maybe their exit is actually creating some gaps in traditional industries that are around, like manufacturing and knowledge base kind of thing. And then millennials are looking for leadership roles and climbing that corporate ladder, and they're experienced, but they still are adapting to tech and work-life balance needs themselves. And then you got Gen Z that just really wants that flexibility, and they want meaningful work. They actually want a lot of companies that they have a connection to. Like they value a company that's doing something that can be helpful in changing the world or changing life or making things better. And
Hmm.
and they want hybrid options. They want fast communication and hiring. They want immediate feedback. So so these are the different types of people that are in the workforce. And then when you get into the Toronto market specifically, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, there's structural changes going on in so many industries where previous jobs that were around for a long time are gone. For example, repetitive type jobs like administrative roles, like they're not around. There's not as many of them around as there used to be. Retail has gone online, so those retail jobs that people had, summer students and students in general, working evenings and nights, companies, retailers are struggling and they're trying to figure out how to make it work. And, some of these retail stores have just a storefront, and, the order is coming from the warehouse kind of thing when you order something. So that, those are a couple of examples. I mean, radio industry, like communications industry, those media industries, they're changing a lot. They're structurally changing, and they're not. I always say things don't go backwards. So, what we knew from 10, 20 years ago with radio and television, things like that, well, that's being replaced by, YouTube and Spotify and that. So, and then of course, chat GPT and things like that are definitely changing the landscape and the workplace too,
Mhm.
where, I mean, I use it a lot through the day. I mean, I search on 20, 30 times a day on things that I'm curious about, or how do I do
Yeah.
this, or give me
Right.
suggestions about how to do something. And
Hmm.
so those jobs are changing also, like in my opinion, like even accountant jobs and legal jobs where, I'd have to talk to a lawyer or an accountant in the past to get a second opinion or tell me how to do something. And now I can just kind of go into something at 24/7 all day long and just, run my own searches,
Yes,
my own
it
questions.
is rapidly changing the landscape, isn't it? So, given that and the economic uncertainty that we've all been facing since 2020, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing in your interactions with employers and then employees on the hunt?
Well, the challenges for employers is really, they have time pressures, they have economic pressures to make companies or to make hiring, like the hiring process, a lot faster. And so a lot of companies are freezing positions. They're relying on gig workers, contract workers. Things like Upwork are growing. Just gig workers, where companies are just using platforms to help them find workers just for a specific project or a specific time, and not having that extra time or extra obligations kind of thing.
Right.
I also think that employers are really being faced with a lot of costs. Some are upfront costs, and some of them are, kind of invisible costs. But things like, upfront costs are the cost to actually, post a job or to use a platform to find candidates or hire a recruiter to find them. But then there's invisible costs to um, that are already fixed, but you've got invisible costs that are such that somebody who's actually doing the interviews, doing the screening, going through resumes, all that stuff like that takes a while to go through. And then you've got, government regulations that are also coming into play every day, such that, as of July 1st, like employers have to give a reason why a candidate wasn't selected for an interview, or why they didn't get the job. If they were interviewed, why they didn't get the job. So it's another burden on
Wow.
employers,
Okay, I didn't know that one.
I know it's
Interesting.
it's kind of a new one. It's kind of under the radar, but it's one of these things where it's like, it's an invisible cost, another cost that is being added to the burden of employers who all just want to hire somebody, and then you've got termination factors. You've got more and more Ministry of Labor standards and employment standards that are coming
Hmm.
down. There's the
Hmm.
Workers for Working for Workers Act, right, which has put in all these new things that are just, again, just an invisible cost that are being borne by employers. And then on
Hmm.
the job seeker side, there's more people applying to fewer roles. There's unemployment in Toronto is growing significantly.
Yeah.
Many people are underemployed. They're pivoting industries. They're just trying to find something. So you've got a mismatch. You got candidates that want flexibility and higher pay. You got employers who want loyalty and productivity. You got, it's hard to balance in this kind of economy. And you got the increased cost to employers, and you got the job seekers that are facing a higher unemployment sector.
Right. Really challenging times. Which industries would you say are hiring and which are downsizing?
Well, I'd say, healthcare has seemed to maintain a requirement, like maintain needs. The country, Canada, is still increasing in age. I don't know statistically what it is, but there's a lot of boomers that are
Hmm.
retiring. There's people that are getting older every day in Canada. So
Hmm.
like there's a whole bubble of people that are moving through those ranks. So healthcare, I think, will still be strong for the next 5, 10, 20 years. I mean, that really
Right.
can't be replaced by, AI or any kind of tech. I'd say, tech is still growing. There have been layoffs within the tech sector, but certainly that tech and AI area is still strong. And the trades area, it
Mhm.
always has seemed to be strong. Plumbers, electricians, like there's less and less people going in that, and there's more and more demand. So there's always a mismatch there. And
Right.
then, downsizing, we talked about retail, media, traditional manufacturing, like they're just restructuring, they're automating, they're just being more efficient. And then you got finance and real estate that are, impacted by interest rates, inflation, and some companies are hiring and some are laying off. I mean, I saw an article last week or in recent few days where real estate companies are struggling. You still have high interest rates, you have high costs of um,
Mhm.
of building, and then you've got a lot of government regulation, a lot of
Right.
red tape in
Right.
order to build real estate, whether it's commercial or residential property.
Yeah, that's a very um, complicated and challenging industry. So many factors that affect the output for sure.
Yeah.
So you touched upon AI and automation, that it is happening, especially in the manufacturing sector. We're hearing a lot of noise around the auto industry too, which is going to hugely impact Ontario, I think. Um, so there's a lot up in the air, but how do you see AI and automation playing out aside from what you just mentioned?
I just feel like all these repetitive type tasks are going to get automated. And whether that's administrative, customer service, call center, I
Yeah,
almost feel like everything's just going to work automated. Like everything,
on
uh,
autopilot. Yeah, yeah.
it really is. But I mean, it will create new jobs like AI, like I talked about. Um, I think the people that understand how AI can disrupt an industry will be able to find opportunities that will be able to. Uh, it'll create opportunities that will uh, allow for more jobs, allow for
Hmm.
more work opportunities, and
Hmm.
I think the hard skills, like things. I mean, if you think about it, like if you think of banking now, if you think of like customer service, like what your expectations are now, that you maybe you don't want to talk to a human anymore. You just want the answer really quickly and just get to the point super quickly. Um, I know that's how I am in certain areas. In other areas, I want to have that human to human
Hmm.
contact. But yeah, I think that you've got to if you're looking for a job or if you're thinking about where things are going, I think that you have to think kind of what are the repetitive tasks that are going to be automated, right?
Hmm.
What's not going to be around in 5, 10 years, and
Hmm.
a lot of it won't be around. But you know what? Every time, like I think of having been in the recruiting staffing industry for 30 years. Um, every time there's like, oh yeah, this is coming and it's going to change the jobs, and like say I remember when MLS, for example, came around and you could go out and find your own house and you can get pictures, and that'll be the end of real estate agents. Well, yeah, in fact, there were more real estate agents after because you still needed more professional advice. You needed people to show you around. Like it was one thing that it helped you with seeing the houses and maybe pinpointing the house that you wanted instead of like going out, but you still need somebody to help you with that navigation process that may
Hmm.
it's still human, that human touch that might not be
Yes.
replaced by just hey, buy this house, buy it. Well, what about this and what about that? And it's not quite all there yet.
Yeah, we are social beings, and there is a comfort, especially when it's a big decision to be made.
Right.
There is something to be said about having that professional judgment, someone with experience to bounce ideas off of and move forward from there. In terms of the trends, I had heard that back to what you had said earlier that with the boomers retiring, that attrition would offset some of the downsizing that we're seeing and the opportunities, like you said, in AI and tech, healthcare will grow. So there will be a net disruption. And I think that's where entrepreneurship also comes into play, like coming up with new ideas, which you've also been involved with as well. Are you still do you still have that arm of your business going on?
Well, we used to do the Toronto Entrepreneurs Conference, and after COVID, we stopped doing it. Um,
Yeah.
but we still stay in touch. I mean, we have a lot of clients who are entrepreneurs, business owners, and I personally still do a lot of Zoom calls where there's other entrepreneurs on and business owners, and I always like the community because it's a you tend to share ideas and you need
Hmm.
support, and entrepreneurship can be very lonely too, right?
Yes, yes, for
Without that
sure.
support. So,
Yeah, I know, I hear you. So what would be your final words to someone looking for a better opportunity as a candidate and an employer looking for good people?
um, I guess I would be very proactive. I'd be visible. I'd keep my LinkedIn profile updated. I'd have a good current picture. Attend virtual and live events. And don't wait for a job post to apply. Like, I mean, just, if you have something, go after it. If you're interested in a certain area or industry, I think you also have to learn new skills. I think that the people that are going to be, I don't know if displaced is the right word, but maybe left behind perhaps, are they going to be the people who are just going to say like I'm stuck in 1990 and I want to go back to that time. Well, things don't go backwards, as I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and you got to learn. You got to keep learning. Upskilling as they call it.
Hmm.
Um, there's even on LinkedIn you can take certifications. There's somebody who I see on LinkedIn who always posts that they received a new certification, and it's a LinkedIn course or something that they've taken. But it shows, okay, well, A, that person's active, but also B, if I'm thinking about somebody to hire, I'm looking for people go that are continuously improving and making a difference, and maybe standing out a little bit more.
Hmm.
And I'd say probably the third thing is, just really thinking long term, like not just salary, like looking for growth potential. These jobs where, you stay with a company for 20, 30, 40 years it's going to be few and far between. I mean, I
Yeah.
get a lot of resumes through the course of a day, week, month, and very, very few resumes I see now have anybody who has been with a company for even 5 years for that matter. I mean, 10 years is a bit of a stretch. I have, right? But, it's very, very rare to get people who have been in a company for a long time. It could be their choice that they move to different jobs to get different experiences, higher salary, promotion, whatever the case may be. But staying with one company, like I think you gotta kind of as a job seeker, I think you have to just go in saying, hey, if I'm here 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, that's pretty good. That's
Hmm.
pretty good.
Would you say that's more the Gen Z generation that you're seeing this in, and less so in the millennial, Gen X, boomer generations
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like the boomers have been longer in the
in the
workforce too, right? So
workforce?
they tend to have a little bit more stability, but it's not even so much like whether it's Gen Z or millennials or boomers. It's more about the companies and industries that have restructured,
All
right? And
right,
and that's really the big difference.
right.
The difference has been that a lot of times, like I said, it hasn't been even their fault, right? It's been
Hmm.
just an industry shakeup that's happened,
Yes, yes.
and
And
that's
what would you suggest to employers looking for people? What final words would you have to someone looking for good people?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be, and we tend to always be hiring ourselves for our company, and whether it's been in, HR, recruitment, sales, or otherwise. And having been in the industry a long time, like, I cast the net out really wide when I'm hiring, and I like I I ask tough questions, right? I ask, like, if I need somebody like a developer who needs reasoning skills, like I ask them reasoning type questions
Right.
off the cuff. We do have online tests that we also use, and but they aren't the deal breaker. Like, they're not like, if they pass, it's a pass or fail. But it does give me an idea, because I mean, sometimes it's hard to really know if somebody has been using ChatGPT or has got help on some of those online
Right.
tests, right? But that's the reality of the world, right? I mean, a quick iPhone or Google or ChatGPT search, and you might be able to figure out the answer. So asking questions verbally on the spot without an opportunity for someone to look it up, or there's no quick Google answers that are
Right.
true
That's the
or false.
advantage of having the in the moment type of interview.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
just what's their thought process like. I still say this example, and it's a friend of mine who's been in business for a long time, and he taught me, and I still, this is such a great question. He said he asked people, and now it's an analytical type role that he hires for, more accounting and so on. So, but he'll ask how many gas stations are in Toronto, and nobody knows. Of course, nobody's get. Well, maybe there's somebody who's gone around, or maybe it's online to say how many actual gas stations are actually in Toronto at any given time. But he's looking for somebody without the use of their phone or help or whatever, to just kind of logically walk it through and just kind of say, okay, well, there's, I don't know, 4 million people, 5 million people in the Greater Toronto area. There's one gas station for every 10,000 people, right? So,
I guess
right, nobody knows,
my
right?
answer would be I don't know.
Well, exactly, but that's not the answer that he's looking for,
I'll
right?
have to look it
Yeah, he's looking
up.
for, kind of systematically, logically, to make
Yeah.
assumptions, to say, okay, 5 million divided by 10,000, like, if my math is right, da da da, what is that, 500? I don't even know the answer, 500 times 10,000, is that 5 million? I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but
We haven't done our accounting in a while.
I know, right? But that's the logic that he's looking for,
Yeah.
right? And on the spot, without use of help. Now, I mean, I'm kind of also, you know, is the person skilled in using ChatGPT or online things to find the answer themselves? Like, can
Mhm.
can they, like, you don't need to know the answer in many respects, but
Mhm.
can you logically like go to ChatGPT, know what to ask in order to come up with an answer?
Yeah, interesting. Guess what I'll be doing after we get off this recording?
How many gas stations?
How many gas stations are there?
But it's a good
Um,
question, though, on the
yeah, it
spot,
is a
right?
great question. It is totally. I love the idea of that impromptu, on the spot, authentic responding and interacting on Guhuza. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, we've done over 2,000 interviews on the platform since we started, and it's like, wow, there should be like 2,000 interviews going on right now, right this moment.
Yeah,
Think of uh, think of how much faster people could get hired and get jobs, and how much faster employers can hire for open jobs that they have.
yeah, yeah.
Really, it's
That
such a slow process. Hiring is such a slow process.
it is. It is. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes for you, and uh, I'll do a follow-up with you.
For sure. Well, thanks so much, Helen, for taking the time to chat, and anything I can do to help you or anybody who's watching this, feel free to reach out.
Yes. Yes. I'll post this and I'll put your contact information for them to reach out to you if they need to get your help.
Sounds great.
Uh,
Anytime.
all right. Nice talking to you.
Same here, Helen.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Talk to you soon. Bye.